All right, Mal, we're about to go live, sir.
Hey, Mal.
Hello. It's young Brooke, was it there?
Mal, we're about to go live, sir.
Hello. Mate, I have got a
Go live, sir.
you've got me.
Mal, you need to turn you need to turn off your Facebook, Mal.
Facebook. I haven't got Facebook on.
Mal, you need to that means it's me. Okay, and we're cooking. There you go.
Hang on, mate.
So
I can't bring the video up because you've got me out of the video. You can't start the video because the host has stopped it.
okay, well, far be it from me to stop it. And don't you love going live? So where
I
are
also
we?
want to have a PowerPoint, Ian. So
We've got our
and it's on my.
Yep, so we'll get the PowerPoint happening in a second, sir. And now, with my, let me see what we got here. So, I am going to kick that one into gear, and I reckon you'll probably be in action in a second. So let me start this show off the right way, ladies and gentlemen, because I do believe we are live. Get ready for Street Smart Business Solutions TV. All right, ladies and gentlemen, just have to remind all of you now and then that it is your life. So, welcome to Street Smart Live, everybody. Street Smart Business Solutions, where all of you understand that you get to live life on your terms, not on somebody else's. And look, I'm pretty excited tonight because we've got a very special guest. You may have had a hint already because we were getting our technology working. But look, this gentleman that I'm about to introduce to all of you, quite honestly, he's had more impact on my life, apart from my parents, than any other individual. Many years ago, he took me to a place that I refer to as the Speed Wealth Zone, and he made me aware that that place existed. He took me to this incredible world where I didn't have to keep spinning my wheels and stop going anywhere. When I actually put something into place, I got traction and got some pretty high leverage results. It was a pretty cool experience. This guy is recognized as the Millionaire Maker, and yes, his name is Mal Emery. And for those of you smart cookies that are on here tonight, Mal has promised to take us to a new land. He's calling it the Promised Land. Now, I figured that that was the Gold Coast, living here in the hinterland at the base of Tambourine Mountain. I believe this is the Promised Land. It took me many years to find it. However, I am quite often proved wrong by my very dear friend and mentor, Mal Emery, and I want all of you putting a virtual hand together for this individual, welcoming to the stage. How are you, Mal?
Excellent, thank you, Ian. I should add that the promised land I'm referring to is the land of business. So I could qualify that by saying, welcome to the promised land of business. So we won't compare it to where you live. Now, we've still got the same problem. I need to find that PowerPoint that we referred to. So can I open up that screen thing and you talk me through it?
Yeah.
It's on my desktop.
So now you just go to your PowerPoint like you normally do and just put the PowerPoint up as you normally would, ignoring the thousands of individuals that are staring at you right now. And
well, I've got it down on the bottom. I've got it minimized down the bottom of my screen. Do I just click on that, do I?
So maximize the PowerPoint now and then
I've got to open it first.
Yeah, so you can open your PowerPoint.
I've opened.
And then look.
Can you guys see it or not?
No, because you now need to look for the menu. When you wiggle your mouse around, you will see it say share screen on the menu, on your Zoom menu that you see there. Can you see that?
Just bear with me, Ian. I do, but it's not allowing me to bring up the...
Yeah, it will. So if you just click on that share screen, the green share screen, and it'll actually, and then just click an example that shows your desktop. You're probably seeing an example of your desktop there, Mal. And when you do that, when you bring up your PowerPoint, we're going to see it in all its glory.
I don't know if this is the right one.
It's looking
it is
good.
The right one. Look at that.
Yeah, well,
Whoa.
yeah, the Promised Land is the it doesn't have pretty pictures, but it's got a. Is that the one that you want?
Yes, it is.
There you go.
How's that,
mate? See who says that we're not jiggy with it? I tell you, all you whippersnappers out there, this technology thing's easy.
I had
I'll hand over to you because I want to hear about this place.
Okay, well, I had a few nervous moments then, but we've got it, surprisingly enough, and if I can do this, anyone can. I note that Glenn Twiddle's on the call as well, Ian. Have you had a message there from Glenn? Did I see something coming through from Glenn? I'm not surprised.
Mate, I wouldn't be surprised either because he's a smart, sharp cookie. And yeah, there he goes. Glenn says, g'day. Great to hear from you. Glenn found the Promised Land as well. That's why he lives on the Gold Coast. But anyway, there you go.
Well, this is in business. That's a distinction for everybody. So we've got 100 and something slides, which is no surprise where I'm concerned. So I only just quickly decided to do the presentation in slide form, PowerPoint form. So I did it in the last 15 minutes, so that's not too bad. I did have it obviously prepared, but now I've prepared it in such a manner that we can present it today. So here we go.
All right.
So mark this day down in your diary, folks, because I'm about to reveal how to get to the Promised Land in business. So you finally prosper, make more money, and live an abundant life. And not knowing this one thing is the root cause of all your problems in business. Big statement, I know. It's like a contagious disease, and your business problems are symptoms of that disease. And the best news is, I believe, this one thing is the cure for all the diseases that have been plaguing you in business before. So if you weren't excited, folks, I think you should be now. What do you think, Ian?
I'm always excited when I'm talking to you, Mal.
For the record, the reason you don't know the cure is not because you're not intelligent or smart or a hard worker. It's just because you've never been exposed to the vaccine before. In fact, the reason you are showing these symptoms is because you are intelligent and you know there's something keeping you from the Promised Land in business. And it all comes down to one thing, just one thing that can change everything. In fact, by knowing this one thing, I can never be broke again. And this one thing made me wealthy beyond my wildest dreams. You see, I honestly believe the breakthrough strategy I'm about to reveal is going to change the world and the way people do business forever. I know that might sound grandiose, but in 5 years, 10 years, maybe 100 years from now, people will say this was the day the greatest business success breakthrough of the 21st century came out of the closet. So here's why what I'm about to reveal is so important. When most people go into business, they have what I call an entrepreneurial seizure. They go from working for an idiot to becoming an idiot and starting their own business. That's how most people go into business, and it's the worst reason in the world to go into business. In fact, it's a recipe for disaster. How do I know? Because 62.8% of businesses fail within 6 years. A staggering 44% of small businesses close their door each day in Australia, according to the Bureau of Statistics. By the way, I've never been broke in business. Not even close, and that is in spite of the fact that I have started, bought, built and sold something like 30 businesses and made a fortune doing it. In fact, a self-made from scratch multi-millionaire. But before I reveal the one thing that will change everything, I want to ask you an important question. Have you ever in your adult life looked in the mirror and thought, gee, you know what? I would have thought things would have been better by now. I thought there'd be more to life than this. Well, if you have, you're certainly not alone. I know I've experienced it myself, but not recently, but in earlier life. But what if I told you there was one thing, just one thing, that is the big shift to the promised land you've been searching for all your life? Now, I know what you're thinking. Mal, I find it very hard to believe that by changing just one thing, I can cure all the diseases that have plagued me in business. Are you saying there's just a simple vaccine to the root cause of all my business problems? Well, give me a chance, folks, because I'm betting I can prove the doubters wrong. But first, let me introduce myself. Now, the folks pretty much know me here, so I'll run through it pretty quickly for those that don't. Pretty much self-made millionaire, known as the Millionaire Maker. Self-made from scratch, doing it on my own. More recently, of course, sold the biggest coaching program, arguably the biggest coaching program, to Ian in the Southern Hemisphere. In April 2005 in Chicago, I won one of 6 awards in the League of Extraordinary Marketers decided by my peers. I've been hired for my marketing skills for thousands of businesses in numerous categories, from fish and chip shops to corporations. Literally not an industry I haven't helped, I suppose. I've created complete marketing, million-dollar marketing systems for new and existing businesses that's responsible for hundreds of millions of dollars in sales. Yes, and I still get invitations like this to speak with gentlemen like these you can see here, the likes of Donald Trump, Richard Branson, Arnold Schwarzenegger, which was an invitation from my great friend there, Glenn Twiddle, Robert Kiyosaki, Anthony Robbins, and the list goes on. Here I made sales of, I think, something like 600. Yeah, mate, go ahead, Ian.
Jump in right there, Mal, because I was just about to say, again, those of you that know me know that I willingly consumed every bit of information Mal was willing to sell to me, and I still say I paid off half your mortgage there, Mal, at City Beach, at that beach mansion of yours. But I got at least a 10-to-1 on that. But every time I've seen you up against the best in the game, the best speakers on stage, the Joel Bowers, the Childers, even here at Tony Robbins, I believe you actually outsold everybody else at that event. Is that correct? If I remember.
Oh no, I don't. No, I didn't outsell everybody. I don't actually know everyone else's figures. I certainly held my own. I also was selling business, which is a hard sell, because business is not as easy as selling get rich on the internet or get rich in real estate. So it's not as sexy as other products. So I did well, given that I had a more difficult task. Also, another part of my difficulty was I think my product was about $6,500 or $8,000. I can't quite recall now. Either way, I was probably the dearest product on the program. I can't confirm that, but there's some of the difficulties I had. I also was the speaker before Donald Trump, and that's not exactly the most enjoyable position to have, I don't think. But either way, sorry, mate?
Rather you than me on that one, I think, Mal. And look, maybe Donald took some tips from you, because if you looked at his marketing strategy, he's now the President of the United States. I reckon he should pay us a bit of money.
Oh, mate, I don't think that's going to happen. But you can live in hope. But he did polarise, and I did exactly the same thing when I walked on stage. I actually polarised the whole room. But we won't go into that detail tonight. That's not what we're here for. We're here to tell the folks how to get to the promised land, and I think that's what they want to know more than anything. So can I move on, Ian? Is that okay?
Please do, sir.
The best part is, thank you, not only do I do this for myself, but I've taught thousands of business owners in this country how to do it also. And here's just a list of some of the folk that I've been able to help. The list goes on, and some of them are the who's of their industries today, if you like. And I was their secret weapon. In some cases, I actually still are. Not an industry, pretty much. I haven't updated this slide for many years that I haven't helped. So that just goes to show you your business is not different. It will work in your industry also. And I've got guys like Danny Haluka who join us, turning over $1 million a year. He does that in a month these days. John Jeffries was turning over 500 a month, I think. We doubled his sales as well. Glenn Twiddle, who happens to be on the call with us, went from a $50,000 a year salesman, if you like, selling real estate to, well, I've seen him have $1 million events. He doesn't get to keep all the money, but I can tell you it's better than being a real estate agent. Glenn will agree. Christian Panzel, $3 million in their first 12 months on a website that we built way back in the day, Ian.
Yep.
I suppose I've had more influence on more from-scratch millionaires and multimillionaires than anyone else, I suspect, in this country. I'm not prepared to claim it, but the bottom line is arguably. A bunch of bestsellers, which you can see behind me there. Of course, like most people, life wasn't always this rosy. In my early 20s, married with a wife, I think she was wanting to get pregnant at that time, in actual fact, and a hefty mortgage. I got fired by a multinational company. It was called ACI Crown Corning. In fact, they fired a bunch of us. We lost the storeman. He had 6 kids at the time. We lost my sales manager, who died several years later. He'd been with the company for a long time. I thought 2 decades or something similar. I'm not quite sure of the exact number. The office girl, the last office girl on, lost her job, and of course I was put off as well. It was downsizing. It's not uncommon. It's still happening to this day. It's a part of the business life, unfortunately, folks. But I didn't have a clue what I was going to do, and I felt pretty terrible, I can tell you. And that's when my wife said to me, you know what? You don't have to work for someone else. I can see you running your own business. Really, I thought to myself. And that's when I started my first business. Except I did one thing that most people in business never set out to do. And it continues to make me wealthy to this very day. And it is probably not like anything you've heard of before. So are you ready for the promised land? Are you ready, Ian? Are you really ready?
I'm definitely ready, Mel. Absolutely.
I hope everyone on the call is ready also, because I haven't revealed this ever before. So there's a big statement, but I have not revealed this. Are you ready to discover the vaccine to all your business problems that have been ailing you? The one thing I figured out is that I am not just a business owner. I am an investor. Let me explain. As an investor, I build assets that make me money for life. And just like real estate and shares, I plan to sell my business before I buy it or start it. So when you buy real estate and shares as an investor, that's what you plan to do. You plan to keep them long enough or renovate them or do something to them so that they're worth more money. So it makes sense that you do the same in business. Yes, I plan to sell a business, preferably before you even start it or buy it. Or if you already own a business, plan to sell it from this moment forward. Why? Because that's how you create the perfect business. Now, am I saying you have to sell it? No, I'm not. What I'm saying is by planning to sell your business, you create the perfect, saleable, profitable business every single time. And isn't that what everyone wants, the perfect, saleable, profitable business? By planning to sell your business, you get options that other business owners never, ever get. You could keep the business, work in it, and enjoy a great income. You could keep it, put it under management, and enjoy a passive income. You could license it, franchise it, let other people do all the work and enjoy a massive passive income. You could leave a legacy to your family, your children, so they enjoy a lasting income. And finally, of course, you could cash out and sell it for a fortune. In fact, it'll probably be the biggest payday of your life. Someone who pays you a fortune for your blood, sweat, and tears. and who puts you out of business so you can finally lie on the beach and enjoy the labours and the fruits of your labour. I call your perfect buyer your ultimate customer. And then if you're like me, started, bought, built and sold close to 30 businesses, you can do it over and over again as often as you like, because you now know a secret that's worth more than any real estate shares or even the money you own. In fact, a secret that provides a better return on your investment than even one of the richest men in the world gets. You see, recently I read where Warren Buffett's return on investment since the 1960s was 21.7%. Well, my return on investment on a business I started just 18 months ago, Ian, is a staggering 57%. That was calculated by an accountant friend of mine, a mutual friend of ours, Ian.
Oh, there's no comparison, mate, in business.
And I don't work a day in it, ever. It's a money-making machine that works without me. It gets better. The business is now worth an incredible 1.5 actually to $1.7 million based on some research I've done recently, and growing fast. On top of that, of course, we still own the property that the business sits on, and that's probably worth over $4 million, definitely, probably closer to 4.2 or 4.5. And I could literally sell it all tomorrow because they're very popular businesses, my definition of racing car and jalopy. The best part is I not only do this for myself, I've taught thousands of business owners to do it also. This is why they call me the Millionaire Maker. I call this thinking that I've revealed to you here the Billionaire Mindset. 99.8% of business owners never think of themselves as an investor. They think of themselves as business owners because they're always stuck in what's called tactics, and they're tactical. All they're worried about is making the next sale, paying the next bill, finding the next new client. And they live their whole life in tactics. They only ever see themselves as a business owner. So it's a very large distinction. They are doers, and as a doer of the thing, you can never get to the promised land. It's impossible, ladies and gentlemen, in business. You must switch from a doer of the thing to an investor. As an investor, you're not I'm an investor, not a business owner. And all that is important is return on investment. Thinking this way in business is an absolute game changer. Why? Because you're not just running an ad in print or on the radio or on TV. You're not just building a website. You're not just buying traffic to that website. You're not just attending a trade show, running an expo, or running a marketing event or an event in any nature. You're not just writing a book, reports or articles. You're not just writing a newsletter. You're not just creating a complex sales and marketing system. You are creating assets that you continue to benefit from over time. And that asset's predetermined purpose is profit, ladies and gentlemen. You are multiplying capital by leveraging assets. The capital is the money you put into advertising, sales and marketing. Now, very few people view sales and marketing and advertising as an asset, and the capital as a good investment in an asset. They view it as a cost against their business. It's actually the only cost they will ever have for their business because they are investing in a future sale and a future profit.
Can I just jump in here for a second? And because I've...
Can you wait a minute, Ian? Can you give me a minute?
Yeah, I'll give you a minute, yeah.
You just about wrecked the punchline, Ian. Here's the real secret to wealth, ladies and gentlemen. You are an investor who creates assets to multiply your capital. You are an investor who creates assets to multiply your capital. You invest money in assets, ads, sales and marketing, that predictably make a profit, that then repeat it and scale it, and then automate everything. Let me repeat that for you, ladies and gentlemen. It's the secret of all secrets to making a fortune in business. It changes everything in the way you look at it. You're an investor in assets, ads and sales and marketing, that predictably make a profit for you. Then you repeat it and scale it and then automate everything. And that's what it looks like. That's an actual example of the business I've just described to you. That's an example of everything I did. I made these things famous. I called them a matrix. And of course, I created it for my own business. I won't go into the detail. It wouldn't be right of everything I did. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm charging more than anybody in my category. On top of that, I'm booked out much more than anybody in my area. When I say more than anyone in my category, in the near vicinity. And nothing, and I mean nothing, can compete with the return on investment you get from business when it's executed in the way I've described it here to you today. It truly is the promised land in business. So here's a triangle that I created all on my own, Ian. So you're an investor, number one, and you invest capital in assets and you repeat, automate and scale. It truly is the promised land in business. And that is when you get the options that most business owners never get or know about. I told you this would be game changer. I told you I would show you how to have the biggest payday of your life. It truly is the promised land. There you go, Ian.
That's nice, mate. Never a truer word said. And I was popping in there because I just asked Glenn Twiddle if he'd mind just coming onto the call for a minute, because obviously we've now walked into the promised land and we know the benefits of that. And I just wanted Glenn's done an extraordinary thing, and he's changed the game and changed the rules in the industry he was in. So I'm just going to see if he's still around. He has to have a call with his son very soon, but that's why I was just popping in there quickly and getting chastised as such. Are you there, Glenn?
Hello, guys. How you guys going?
Yeah, doing well, mate. Thanks for jumping in on the call with at a moment's notice. I thought while you're here, let's have a bit of a powwow. But
you've got to, Ian. You've got to unvideo me. So somehow you got to go to my thing and unvideo me. You'll be able to.
Yeah, I can do that. Make you a co-host as well.
And when you've done that, Ian, how do I get rid of the promised land, mate?
If you just hit stop sharing, Mal, on your screen.
What about I just close the promised land? Will that do it?
And you
could. I got rid of it for you.
There you go.
Oh, thanks, mate.
So yeah, actually, Glenn was the one that introduced me to this platform, which is Zoom, and he swore by it, and I got converted. But yeah, mate, how about you share with us how you walked into the promised land? You know, how you then started to leverage. Just share a little bit about your story. By the way, for those of you that don't know this gentleman that I am talking to, he now has the second largest real estate coaching group in Australia. And I tell you what, his students love him so much that they go and buy him a Harley Davidson. I tell you, it's pretty amazing. I'm glad to say that I may have shared a small part in that education that ended up him getting to where he is now, but bloody hell, talk about nice one, mate, nice one. I'm still waiting, hint out there. But share your story, mate, about how Mel exposed you to the promised land, and also maybe how consulting exposed you to the promised land.
Yeah, well, definitely. Mel called it something different at the time when I learned it. You know, it's been known as the Phenom, the zone, and whatever you call it. That Emery magic dust was the. You know, what Mel said on that testimonial is absolutely true, that, you know, I came to Mel one step above a TAFE instructor, I suppose, earning about 50 grand a year, working for the REIQ as a, the Real Estate Institute of Queensland, teaching real estate agents their licensing, their regulations and stuff. And that doesn't pay very well. It pays about 50 grand. And, it was good to flap your gums and get 50 grand a year. But when I learned and applied, which is the important thing, these strategies that Mal's, talking about here, I mean, I still pinch myself when the clients, got me that Harley for I looked at what that's worth, 25 odd grand. I mean, that's nuts. And I get to truly live, you talk about this promised land thing. Autonomy is different for everyone, as Mal taught us years ago. But these are the guys I get to hang out with as mates now. Mal taught me years ago that you need to become the celebrity expert in your niche by doing certain things. And now I get to hang out with War Machine from bloody Thingo, for the marketing crowd here. That's me in the offices of Gary Vaynerchuk. There's Huey Lewis, my heroes I get to now hang out with, do business with, and even have frickin' Sylvester Stallone hitting on my partner Naomi, bastard. But I truly do get to live the life of my dreams. And it was based, and of course, the thing that Mal mentioned before, Arnold Schwarzenegger, having him work me out at Gold's Gym. And it was because Mal showed me this one slide. It was this right here. Stolen with permission, Mal tells me, but I don't remember him giving me permission. I just stole it. It's based on this. Mal took me from being a generalist, getting paid 50 grand a year, through to being a specialist, getting paid pretty well, becoming the celebrity authority specialist in my niche, which to the general world, no one's bloody heard of me ever. But to the real estate industry, I became the celebrity guy that gets to hang out, do business and socialize with my heroes in a marketing sense, in Gary Vaynerchuk and Mal Emery and Ian. Of course, I get to hang out with you guys now as peers. And my heroes like Schwarzenegger, Stallone and the like, it's just a dream come true. And it all was because I applied the stuff. And that's the key. I was recognized in the streets of Melbourne 2 or 3 days ago, who was in the very trainings that you guys taught me back some 8 years ago. And he owns a business and he's done okay for himself. But there were hundreds of us in those rooms back then. And yet those few of us who applied, like you, Ian, like me, are now living a life that we never thought possible. So that's why I'm still here 8 years later, learning. Yeah. If there's another nugget from Mal, I want it. That's why I'm here 8 years later in student mode. I'm not here to big note myself. I'm here to learn. And that's why, man, because I don't want to mess with the formula. The formula is learn from you guys, go and implement. So I'm here to get those nuggets.
And you'll note, guys, that there's another sharp cookie on this call. His name's Roy McDonald, and he's got a very large organisation as well. He understands the power of business. And one thing I just want to add to this promised land, and that was the both you and I, Glenn, we're not worried about looking bad to get good. Okay, so for example, you were smart enough to come back and do my advisor training twice because you didn't quite get it the first time. Is that from memory? I think it was like 4 or 6 months later, you said it's not clicking, and you came back and did that training again. And then next thing you know, you're sort of like in the stratosphere. So would it be to say that when you get out there the first time, you make mistakes, you may not look the sexiest on the planet, but when you get up there the second and the third time, you just get better and better at it?
Well, it depends on, I was advised by some really smart cookies globally when I was in that struggle mode that potentially they floated the idea that I may have been what they called fishing in a smelly pond. Meaning maybe my choice of niche was a challenge. And perhaps it was. I do believe that the niche I chose, the real estate agents, making them better in their world, they are a harder than most niche to wear down. So maybe some people do need remedial classes to come back time and time again. I added it up that I must have studied you, Mal, all of the experts that you guys referred me to for 7,000 plus hours. Now, someone with a better brain than me might have only taken 700 hours. I don't know. But when I'm at Gold's Gym getting worked out by Arnold Schwarzenegger, no one asked me how long it took me to get there. It's just that I got there. You know.
Because you have a go, mate. You're not worried about failure. You know, you see a proven system and a model, and you go for it. And
I think the secret truly is in our haircuts, guys. I reckon everyone listen to this. Just model our hairstyle. I reckon that's the difference.
You think
I reckon that's the game changer.
Could have a point. And Mal, I want to speak to something else, and because this is what we love to do. We love to have systemized, profitable, scalable, saleable businesses. This is the end goal. Glenn's now got an asset. He can turn it on and off when he wants to, and he's got that asset there that many people would kill for. You've got that asset now with an organisation that runs by itself without you, and that was your plan. Can you just describe how you set or rigged the game before you even started, when you got sought after to be a part of this organisation, this business model? Can you just speak to that for a moment for the listeners?
Yeah, look, I'd rather you didn't name the business either.
No, and I didn't name the industry or the business.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be appropriate.
Yeah.
The whole thing is you need to understand how I approach everything. And Glenn knows this only too well. And I've become very famous for the term rig the game. And the game I'm referring to is the game of business. And Glenn sets about to rig his events, to rig his outcomes. And when I look at any business or business opportunity, that's exactly how I approach it. Rigging the game often commences with a thing called utopia. So the thing I aim for in any business I start or create or get involved is I aim for utopia. Now, you may hit it, you may not hit it, who knows? But, you know, I'll get very close. And for me to hit utopia, I need a bunch of principles in place. Now, the problem we have with most people is they don't know the principles. So without going in any particular order of principles, I'll share some here which enable me to make decisions very quickly and rig the game in the process. So in no particular order, the mathematics is absolutely critical. You cannot replace great marketing with poor mathematics. Conversely, you can't replace great mathematics with poor marketing either. So we want to have great mathematics. So by mathematics, I mean the upside potential, the dollars, the money you can make. And it's very hard to, there's a couple of ways. We can have transaction value and we can have repetition. That is, we charge over and over and over again. Or conversely, there's a big payday involved. Now, in my world, of course, I'm also looking at what I can sell it for in the end as well. So all this affects my ability to invest in assets, because I have more capital and more money to spend because I'm building assets that create a profit based on great mathematics. Of course, another key to all of this is to be able to predict the future. And if you want to predict the future, you have to understand the present. Now, very few people ever reverse engineer and understand the present. They think they know, they have some concept of it, but trust me, they're wrong. And all that is important are the facts. So, you know, for a client just today and yesterday, I've been reviewing the results of a questionnaire that I did for her. And it is empowering for me to now know what they want from me. I do this in any industry, everywhere I go, because I don't want to get experiences. I don't want challenges. I want to rig the game. It has another terminology. It's called accurate thinking. Now, very few people, again, have this level of accurate thinking, which is really based on redefining your business from your client's perspective. So what I'm talking about are principles. And principles do not change. You want another principle? People don't change. That's probably the greatest principle of all time, that people don't change. And the reason they don't change and why this stuff still works, irrespective of those that will be seduced by the internet and throw out the old, when I would say instead be agnostic. Don't be seduced by the new, don't be seduced by the old, but be agnostic and accept that these things coexist in a world of duality, which is the world we live in. We live in a world of duality where good and bad, black and white, everything coexists. But a lot of people want to say, oh, it's all, you've got to go on the internet's everything. Well, it is everything, it's fantastic, but you want a way of circumventing it as well because someone else owns the sandpit. It's called Google, and you know, it's worth, I don't know, $680 billion. You know, I'm trying to play in the sandpit. That's very dangerous, enormously dangerous. And you know, I will never build a business that is dependent upon the number one. I want lots of ways to be successful. So there's another law for you. And the reason it's about, sorry, not law, principle. And the reason it's about people not changing, it's what I call the reptilian brain. This is why problem, aggravation, solve, proof, call to action, and this is why the 5 E factors, love, greed, guilt, fear, and pride, still work today just as well as they ever did, because inside my head and inside the folks listening to this is the reptilian brain. You know, I sarcastically say it's the reason I chase my unlucky wife around a coffee table every so often, pretty often in fact, and luckily for me she lets me catch her, and Glenn alludes to that conversation in front of crowds of people. I've seen him do it. And I don't blame him because I said it, so man can't deny it. But it's the reptilian brain in me. It's not my fault, honey. You know, I don't have any control over this, you know. So they don't know the principles, Ian.
Yeah.
So if you're only coming from tactics and you never think about strategy and then you don't come from principle, it makes it pretty tough.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't want to make it pretty tough. I don't want to make it difficult in business. I want to, you know, shoot fish in a barrel with an Uzi gun. Over to you, Ian.
And so just to add to those principles, so again, we all know once we become street smart that for example, rigging the game and rigging your business the way you have it, that business is now worth many multiples of its profits, whereas many individuals will work probably a lot harder, but they're scared to take that. They're trapped in a mindset where they will build their business up to a certain level and they get so busy they can't take on any more work. And rather than get more people onto their team that they can then leverage and then have the business running under management, just as you do now with this other business that you have, they then scale back again or pull back from the edge, trapping themselves in that cycle of survival instead of thriving in success. So with that little bit of extra effort and just going outside that comfort zone, ladies and gentlemen, instead of you selling a business maybe for $250,000 or $300,000 as a painter, perhaps if you've got a painting business, if you were willing to just look towards a strategic plan, you could sell that same business for a multiple of say 3 to 5 times. So instead of getting $250,000 or $300,000 when you sell it, you could be getting $1 million or even $1.5 million because you've taken the strategic approach to build a profitable, systemized, scalable organization. So get that $1.5 million payday for yourself. And I'm not exaggerating, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we do day in and day out, and that's what we teach our students. It is the promised land. And again, you're right, Mel. That's a great way to describe it. And one other thing, just to you're talking about the internet, and you and I both know the number of sites that we've created and the multi-millions of dollars that they've generated online. So no bigger fan of the internet than us. However, one of the first things that we both do is we take people offline and get all of their details and their mailing addresses. And when I want to do a campaign, guess what? That direct mail comes out ASAP because the return on direct mail is so powerful. I still say that you're a fool if you don't have that as part of your resume. And you used to always say, dominate all your media where possible now. So
I remember, guys, I read an article after listening and applying everything you guys have just said copiously. And I remember reading an article not so long back saying, the return direct mail's back. And I thought, Jesus Christ, only an idiot thought it went anywhere. That's exactly right.
So you use it too, do you, Glenn?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm a good student. I don't question when Mal says take every media where your client's eyeballs are and dominate it.
Yeah.
I do what I'm told. So I'm still in the mail. I'm still doing postcards or sometimes enveloped mail. I mean, I'm still doing fax broadcasts because my market, still 1/3 of them have a fax machine. So if 1/3 of them are still picking up freaking contracts from their fax machines, right in the middle of them is going to be an ad for Glenn Twiddle's event, you know, when I'm in marketing mode. So absolutely, I dominate them all. Probably, if I had to guess, I'd probably say 15 to 20 media per campaign get destroyed by, you know, heaven forbid, someone who doesn't want to come to an event of mine, if they're in the geographic area and they're a real estate agent, they would have been so sick of my head and Arnold Schwarzenegger's head during the lead up to that promo, because I dominate every media. I suck up every bit of oxygen possible, including direct mail, of course. Absolutely.
Yeah, you do. And I will bet everything in my pocket right now that SMS would be a major part of your strategy as well.
Oh, absolutely. You name the media. If a real estate agent has their eyeballs on it, I'm there. So whether it's Facebook, whether it's, here's the thing that I've been studying lately that I'm loving. Getting my videos on YouTube, you know, those little pre-roll ads, to appear not in a scattergun approach, but to appear before every other real estate coach's videos. So the other coaches are sitting there trying to promote, and then up pops freaking Glenn Twiddle beforehand saying, hey, if you're wanting real estate coaching, you've got to come to me, before the other guys even get their freaking hand in the gun. So
don't
dominate everywhere.
Yeah, it is good. It is great. Now, we did promise to open this up for Q&A, and normally these Business Solution TV episodes go for 30 minutes, but it's not often that we have royalty like you on the call. And if I knew how to bring Roy in, I would have brought him in as well to add to the mix. But guys, even if, can you hang around for a few more minutes if anyone may want to ask a question of you as well, Glenn, if we open this up to the listeners out there? Just, I know, again, you've got a call with your son coming.
Can I ask one of Mal?
Sure.
I want to ask one of Mal.
Always,
wait on, it'll cost you. I've got the con, so yeah.
Give me a bill, because I've been wanting to ask Malcolm Emery this for approximately 9 years. Mal, you said to me once many, many years ago, sleep next month. I want to know when the frickin' hell next month is coming, because I ain't slept in a decade.
Yeah, look, mate, you might also remember another statement, and that was, I create work, lots of it. And I've never denied it. I've never denied it. So really, when I say sleep next month, that's in relation to getting a lot done. Now, you're a guy that gets a lot done. And if you don't approach it with that attitude of sleep next month, you're going to really struggle to get a lot done. I mean, my admiration for you is great. I mean, you continually quote these comments I made from stage, 10, 15 years ago when you were in the environment, and you never missed a thing for years. It's called earned success. I don't know anyone that can consistently make money by accident. I saw $2 on the pavement in Sydney recently. That's the first $2 I've seen on the ground for a long, long time. That's by accident. I have never made $1 in my life by accident, and I don't think it's a reliable, predictable model. So your success is all built on this immersion that you've committed yourself to, and very few as committed to the immersion to the level that you were, Glenn. You are a great role model for anyone listening to this. Whether we're all going to be as crazy as you, mate, in the process, although it's working out pretty well for you, because I happen to know that lady behind you there. So you're doing okay.
Mel's saying hello there.
And Glenn, there's little wonder you've had the success you've had. So the qualification is, yes, sleep next month, and yes, I do create a lot of work, and you are experiencing that. Slow down when you're dead, Glenn. That's my advice.
Here's the bottom line as well: is I don't know any successful individual. I mean, look, there's a lot of very, very good advice in Tim Ferriss's 4-hour work week. But the reality is, you have a look when he did that 4-hour work week. He was on a plane every second of the day, traveling the world, doing interview after interview after interview, sharing and promoting the principles that you and I understand as leverage. So 4-hour work week, my ass, to get that business model off the ground, and hats off to him. But again, the people that I know that succeed, and I've just asked Roy McDonald, he's probably got a bit of a surprise, but I've just sort of promoted Roy to the panel in the hope that he may have one or two things to share as well. Roy, can you, are you on the call? Can you hear us there, sir?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me all right?
Loud and clear, mate, loud and clear. And ladies and gentlemen, another master that he had no idea I was going to ring him into this call, but it's great to have friends. And notice these are all very, very successful people in their own right, but we don't sit on our butt and watch the days of our lives. Maybe Game of Thrones, perhaps, I don't know, but what we do is we know if there's a mission and a goal out there, we put our head down, our backs upside up, and we make it happen. And Roy, I'd love you just to share some insights yourself in regards to your successes there and what was the cause of that.
Well, firstly, thank you so much for I'm grateful to be on this call. And I booked in because Mel and you were on, and I always find there's always such interesting things happen. And of course, Mel has shared some amazing golden nuggets, and I love his whole thing, the promised land. And I just want everyone to just notice how beautiful Mel massaged this whole presentation. And he is a master. That's why I love being on, because I'm a student like Glenn. I was very impressed with Glenn making that point. Firstly, how he made the challenge to everyone, the promised land. So everyone's waiting to find out what the promised land is. And then he snuck in his little testimonials and he snuck in his story. And it's just beautiful Mal stuff. And look, guys, you should record this, because this is classic marketing, and this is a master in action, and I know you'd agree. He also covered the principles and the strategies and not getting down with the tactics. And I just love that about him, because he's a principle man like you, Ian, and he works with principles. And the principle that he really covered was know your outcome. It's a leadership issue. It's the number one leadership, know your outcome. And his outcome was that when you start a business, you've got to sell it. That's the whole purpose of starting the business. Yeah. Because as Michael Gerber said, if you don't sell it, guess who bought it? You did. So I'm just so impressed. And as always, you, Ian, Mel, Glenn, the whole team, just fantastic stuff. I just would share a couple of quick things. I'd ask anyone listening in here, what's your plan? What is your plan? If you don't have one, get with these guys, get with Ian, get with Mal. They've got a plan. And another question I really think is important is, what would you do if you didn't have a job? And that's such an important question, because all of you are going to lose them. And unfortunately, a lot of business people don't have a business, they have a job, which is what Mal was talking about. And I also love the fact that he rigs the game, and he talked about actual, the thinking that was really, very accurate thinking. I call it inside trading, legally inside trading, and Mal's got an inside trading plan. So I just love that. I'm approaching the hair problem that Mal, you, and Glenn have. I am follically challenged, but not quite there yet. And I'm grateful to be a student. Yeah. I have in my program about learning the foundation. That's very important, which Mel kind of covered. Being aware, and he talked about the issue of being in present time. Most people are living in the past. Very, very few are living in the future. Very few are living in the present. They're either in the past, which is polluting their future. So awareness is hugely important, which you and Mal are really onto. And consistency versus inconsistency in business, I think that's the biggest issue, and how to have it all, which is what the Promised Land shows. So I'm just very grateful to be a student tonight. Thank you for letting me come on. Thank you, Mal. Thank you, Glenn. Thank you, Ian.
Yeah. We are. Thank you, Roy, for those insights. And again, anyone that's not aware of, and this is not a plug. That's not the purpose of this call. In fact, I haven't even spoken to the purpose of this call yet. But the purpose of this call and the way I managed to drag Mel out of semi-retirement really is because I got a text the other day from Mel, and he was saying that he's bloody doing this mad 200-kilometre ride on his push bike again to raise money for cancer, because cancer has hit both our families very hard, and we've lost loved ones due to this horrible disease. And so Mal's going to be hopping on a bike and riding 200 kilometres in WA, and it's not that far away. How far away is this ride, Mike?
About 5 weeks in. I'm riding home tonight when I finish here, trying to stay alive. God. They're all trying to kill us on our push bikes, but that's another story.
It's like a new sport, isn't it? Yeah. So the reason why I asked Mel to hop on is I said, well, look, perhaps if we give some insight, and you guys have found value from the ideas and the principles we share here tonight, you may like to click up top where on our Facebook page, on the Street Smart Marketing 1 Facebook page, there's a button there where you can actually just contribute, whether it be $5, $10, $50, $100, $500, whatever you feel that this information may be worth to you. I'm hoping you've picked up some golden nuggets here tonight, and it should be worth tens of thousands to you, in all honesty. Yeah, so please help Mal raise money for cancer. And again, he's risking life and limb. I still say he's a mad bastard for doing it, but I take my hat off to him, because you won't get me riding 200 kilometres. I think it's easier to write a check, you know. So I'll be writing a check for you, Mal.
Let me throw a sweet in the pot, Ian. Let me throw something in. Sure. Last time Mal did this, I remember Mal had a certain goal. And despite, like yourself, Ian, I'd paid Mal a lot of money for his information, I'd never given him a tip. So I remember he was $2 or $3 grand off the goal that he wanted to hit. So I topped it up to the very top, which I will do so again, absolutely. What I'll do for anyone on the honour system that donates to Mal, as an amount, say $20 or up, I did a presentation at Mal's event some years ago. It was $2,000 a head to be there. I spent 2 hours teaching them how to celebritize themselves based on your principles, just my own unique take, I suppose, on what you guys taught me. And I'll give that presentation 2 hours of pure content. So there's no sales pitch, there's no offer, nothing to buy, because it was at Mal's event that they paid $2,000 to be there. So it's information. I'll give a copy of that training in its entirety for anyone who donates $20 or more. So just PM me and I'll give you a copy of the training if you donate to Mal's cause.
Spectacular. And Glenn, how do they ping you then? So where will they find you, Glenn?
Mate, I wouldn't be a marketer's arsehole if I didn't have to do anything more than just say, Glenn Twiddle, you'll find me.
There you go.
But PM me on Facebook. PM me on Facebook.
There you go. And again, any of you that are in real estate, this individual, he really is a master. There is a reason why people bought him his clients bought him a Harley Davidson. But again, now we did say we'd open up to questions, and we've got some here, guys. So we've got one from Luke Perry. Luke Perry said, "Hi, Mal and Ian. What are you looking for when you ask a business owner or a salesperson, why should I do business with you over your competitors?" So does anyone on
I want to know how Luke's life is after 90210. That's what I want to know.
Well, he was devastated after Shannon O'Doherty, mate. So what can we say? But yeah. So have you got any thoughts on that, guys? How anyone want to speak to that? I don't know if Roy's feel free.
What was the question again, Ian, please?
So Luke Perry asked, "Hi, Mal and Ian. What are you looking for when you ask a business owner or a salesperson?" And this is $1 million question. Well, why should I do business with you?
Well, the response has to be when they hear from you, "My God, where do I sign up? How do I find up? How do I find out more?"
Yeah, very nice.
So if I give you a recent example, I don't think I'm speaking out of school. It's a client we all remember, was involved in our group for some time, and she wanted to attack the female entrepreneur market. And I didn't know much about that market to a certain extent. I had some understanding, but it has another name, and it's called the big idea. And if you can figure out the big idea, really it opens up the floodgates. Now, very few people ever contemplate that thought long enough in order to allow it to happen, and it's not easy. It often comes from this re-engineering process. And essentially, what I said about was a re-engineering process. And the good news was that she was very helpful in helping with the research as to what her client, her ideal client avatar was. And she was well versed in all the folk that were doing it already, particularly in the online market. And it took me a few bike rides, but in wanting to appeal to the female entrepreneur, which there is a uprising, even the Dalai Lama says that the female entrepreneur will save the world. That's how big of an issue it is today. So wanting to tap into that very market, and here's what I came up with ultimately, and I got it in bits and pieces, but I eventually got it. And the first word I got was revolution. You know, it's a very powerful thing. So I came up with this, and whenever this is mentioned, people go, wow, what's that about? It might be, wow, where do I sign up? Where do I spend my money? But either way, this is the sort of response you're looking to your big idea. And here it is. Global sisterhood revolution. Now,
nice, mate. Nice.
Well, it took a little while, Ian, to come up with it, but eventually, you know, we did. And
instantly when you hear that, it rings a chord, doesn't it, Mel? You instantly know, hey, I want to belong. You get that, Glenn, Roy? What?
You know what's really interesting about that is it's the principle that Mal taught me, that you need to do as much repelling of those who you don't want in order to attract those who you do want. So for a bit of a blokey frickin' entrepreneur kind of bloke like me, I kind of hear sort of that sort of thing, and I kind of go, ah, but the thing that makes me go, ah, or whatever, is the very thing that would attract the ideal client. That's why I'm still a work in progress, because I'm not able to do what Mal's able to do, and that's get out of my own. I'm great at pitching to 45-year-old blokes who want to meet Arnold Schwarzenegger and stuff. I'm a genius. But tapping into, as Mal has done, to another demographic, that's the master copywriter, the master marketer at work, of which I'm still a work in progress.
Well, you see, Glenn, I instantly resonated with that that group, and so I guess I just am more in touch with my feminine side, mate. I think that's just the bottom line. So, a bit more work, you can get there.
I'll do my best, boys.
Maybe we're hanging around. And again, Roy, I'm hoping, is still on the call, and I have to say, transformation, guys, you got to understand, if you want to get to the promised land, it starts with your thought processes. It starts with how you interpret things. When something occurs, if something happens to you in life, it's how you interpret that happening, if that's the right word, as to where you end up. So to give you, and this is a real analogy, when it was pouring in my very early days, believe it or not, I actually did do a stint knocking on doors. It was very character building and soul destroying. Character building, soul destroying. But if it was pounding down rain, it didn't stop me going out there, because I had a target that I was not going to come home until I made one sale at least for the day. If I didn't make a sale, I didn't come home. And if it was raining outside, that's great because there's less other door knockers out there. And this is in the day where there were a lot of them, guys. But other people, they'd say, oh, it's raining. No, can't go outside. I'll have to wait till tomorrow. And I guess if you can use that analogy of saying to yourself, you know, well, how can I do something rather than, no, I can't do something, or how can I afford it rather than how can't I? I couldn't afford Mal, for God's sake, guys. I mean, the amount of zeros on the end of these checks, I'm still in blooming disbelief. But I tell you now, and Glenn's got the same experience, and I bet you Roy would as well with the mentors, but every dollar I've invested with my mentors comes back at least 10 to 15 to 1. And I actually still have the testimonial from you, Glenn, when you kindly gave me a testimonial in regards to that scenario as well. When you invest in yourself and you learn to look at things from the right perspective, your world totally changes.
Absolutely, Ian. And can I just jump in here, if it's okay?
Please.
Roy.
So important.
Yeah. If you want to put me on video, you can.
Mate, but you got a full head of hair.
I have the full hair. I just want to be able to get up to you guys in the standard, and I just want to, while you're getting me organised, just compliment. I think every one of Glenn, Mal, and Ian, you've all done the hard yards as I did. We went out in the street and actually had to get organised to do this, and it was all about fear of failure, fear of success, that story, which ultimately...
Can you just stop for a second? I need to put an expert in here. Glenn, can you help get the video on for Roy? Because I can't do it. I saw a flash.
No, Roy, you have to turn your camera.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it does help if we turn our
camera. Look at that. Thank you. So, fear of success, fear of failure. That was what it was all about. Here you go now. And then we went down to another important thing about our identity. What is our identity? That determines our success as a business person. And then we got very clever and we started talking about our self-worth and love and caring for ourselves and self-esteem. But I've discovered, Ian, Mal and Glenn, that it's all about drugs.
There's been a G-rated program. You're not meant to let our secret out. Yeah.
It's all about drugs. There's 4 of them. Endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. Endorphins are and what Mal will do when he's riding his bike, it serves one purpose, and that it masks physical pain. And the reason it works this way is because he's on a mission. He can work despite the pain. Dopamine is really about feeling good, and unfortunately it's very addictive, and it's like cocaine, nicotine, alcohol, gambling, all of the stuff that actually is that hit, that real quick hit, when you get told how good you are, or you come on stage and you get congratulated, or you buy a new computer or something happens. Unfortunately, these things don't last long, and people are often on that. And marketers use that all the time. Serotonin is the leadership chemical. And really, it's about, it's the selfish chemical. It's about real value and really being valued in a group. And so even in this group, Ian, you've got a beautiful relationship with Mal, and it's part of that relationship that's made this work, as does Glenn come into this and other people that are in your team. Oxytocin is your love chemical. That's the feeling, friendship, love, a deepening trust, a feeling good. It's vital for our survival instinct. Acts of generosity, empowerment, strong bonds. We couldn't even raise children if we didn't have oxytocin, and it's best for our immune system. So these create what we call a circle of safety. So serotonin and oxytocin are really our selfish chemicals, and we get them in a very, very simple form. And if we can develop them, our life is really meaningful. And the way I watch you guys, and I know Mal now with his retirement, yet he's kind of out of retirement. He'll never retire.
Nah.
He's on a mission, and he's going to be doing good. And you, Ian, are the same, and Glenn, I'm sure, and I know I'm on that same mission. And, you know, we make lots of money on the mission anyway. It's okay. However, it's helping others succeed. And every one of the participants on this, the other three gentlemen, Mal, Glenn, and Ian, the reason they're so successful is they're serving others, which is oxytocin. It's actually running through their veins as we speak right now. They feel terrific after this. And it's all about drugs, guys, is what I'm telling you.
Yeah. There you go. Well, and it all makes sense because, look, ladies and gentlemen, I am sure you feel the same as I do. You get a far better feeling when you buy a gift or do something nice for your partner or your children or whatever than, you know, going and buying another doodad for yourself. You know, so again, and I just want to say there is no one I've seen that can get to the core of an issue better than Roy. His organisation is One Life, for those of you that don't know. I do just want to give him a bit of a plug. His organisation is amazing. Again, so guys, look, we're just going to have, I've imposed on my friends for quite a while here. We'll open it up for another 5 minutes to if anybody has any questions that they did want to ask, or you will lose your opportunity. And I'm going to throw to my beautiful daughter for a second too. Are there any questions that have come up on Facebook there, Brooke? Okay, so while we're winding up, ladies and gentlemen, you do have your chance to ask any of us any questions that you may desire. I would recommend you avoid asking Mal any questions on relationships. I followed his advice and it was very painful. But anything on business, anything.
Can I throw to Luke's question? And I can't answer it because it can't be answered on a webinar, but that question of why should I do better business with you over all of your competitors, all of the alternatives, including doing nothing? The 2 points are, one, how much time do you have, or how much time is appropriate in order to give your answer? In my business, I need a 30-second answer, which I just copied and stole Mal's. I need a 5-minute answer, which is designed to kind of get their attention enough for them to ask for the 30-minute answer, which is a full sales presentation, which results in them giving me a lot of money. So really what I would say is you need to answer that question. Why should I do business with you over all the competitors? Luke's question was, what are you looking for when you ask a business owner that question? Well, the fact is, if they knew it, they wouldn't need Mal, you know. So Mal gave me mine because our businesses were somewhat similar, only mine was a niched version of Mal's. So you need to, you know, in my opinion, that the answer to Luke's question, how do you come up with that answer? That's a couple of years of really pulling apart what your audience wants and then serving it up to them in 30-second, 5-minute or 30-minute chunks. And really every marketing piece you ever do needs to be angled at answering that question for the community. So it's certainly not something that we can answer on this web training here. And I would say grab whatever Mal's latest products are, because that'll be the start. If one of Mal's products is a 12-hour masterclass on marketing, or the Phenom, or whatever his latest stuff is, it's a 12-hour answer, not a 5-minute answer, even here on the webinar.
And I'm glad you resurrected. I just want to pop in here for a second. I'm glad you resurrected that question too, Glenn, because it is $1 million question. I'm going to answer it with how I came up with my solution in one of my companies. And that was the first large company that I built, which was Marsh Air Conditioning. The way that I dominated the marketplace was, I remembered hearing from Mal that you know, you've got to develop the message for the market. So the first triangle that it took me a year to understand was the marketing triangle, which was market, message, media, match. And I was really, really agonizing over what the hell's this market thing, and how do I make this message come to this market? And after a year, I had like a Blues Brothers moment and an epiphany, and it was in air conditioning. Why do people actually get it? Well, again, alluding to a comment that Roy said earlier, it is the outcome. What is the outcome that your clients and prospects want? They don't get an air conditioning because they want to donate $15,000 to the Let's Be Wealthy Marsh Fund. They donate $15,000 because they always want to be comfortable in their home and know that if it's 45 degrees outside and they've got their family here on Christmas Day, that if they've got a Marsh air conditioning system in there, it's going to be a beautiful 23 degrees inside. So it's the outcome they're after, which is why I came up with Marsh air conditioning, temperature guaranteed, or it's free. And that one statement, if you like, that one, why should I do business with you, made me one of the largest air conditioning companies in Australia within 3 years. You know, same story, I guess, with Domino's. Same story, you know, think of Domino's when they nearly closed their doors because no one's buying their pizzas. But then Pat Monahan sat down and said, why are they buying my pizza? Oh, how about I think of what the client wants? Well, they were smoking cones in the 60s, ladies and gentlemen, and the first pizza shop was located at the edge of the university. And so, I don't know, I've been told by Glenn that when you smoke cones that you actually get this really bad case of the munchies, like carbohydrates. And so as a result, they said, well, how about I just get them pizza fast? I don't need it to taste great. And again, so why should I do business with you? Why should I ring Domino's? Because I'll bring a pizza to you fast. What is the outcome? So there you go. So it's a really
very, very well said, Ian. Thank you very much. And if I should take this opportunity to thank our friends on the call, it's Glenn, the nice things he said, and his ability to pull up these things at a drop of a hat. These are my old slides that he's finding from somewhere. He just knows where everything is. It's amazing. And Roy, the generosity Roy continues to provide to all of us. Only last week I had the need to call Roy. I knew I had to pick up the phone, and I knew there was one person to pick up the phone too. And Roy spent a good half an hour explaining some things to me where I'm not the expert. And I just want to acknowledge Roy's generosity. It's not the first time Roy has helped me in his area of expertise. So publicly, Roy, thank you very much for all your help. On top of that, you know, Glenn occasionally calls me because Glenn does something that very few people get to do, and that's run these big events. And he often says, you know, we at least know what it feels like, you know, the nervousness and the big spend associated with these things. So Glenn and I turn to each other as well for support, and that's one of the wonderful things. And of course, you turn to me and I turn to you too, Ian. But I've said what I wanted to say there. What I want to do is give the folk on the call a methodology for helping with the answer that we're all trying to reveal here. And one of the things is to know what you're really selling. And what most people do is they talk about what they've got on their wagon to sell people. You know, I sell pizzas, you idiot. I sell beds, you idiot. I sell shoes, you idiot. Well, you're not selling beds. You're not selling pizzas. You're not selling shoes. You're actually selling, and this is very, very important, you're actually selling and should always be selling what they want most. Not what you've got, what they want most. So I don't want a bed, you idiot. I want a comfortable night's sleep.
Yeah.
So there's the answer. So I developed a thing called the 101 day sleep like a baby guarantee for a bed store. At the time, it was the longest in Australia. I think someone's knocked that off now.
Yeah, IKEA's now got a 365-day one, Mel. So
there you go. There you go. And where shoes were concerned, of course, it was still blue boots, and it was the world's most comfortable work boot, guaranteed. And we know how successful that's been. So we're not selling boots. We're selling comfort. And this is a clear distinction for everyone listening here when it comes to working out what that thing is that we're trying to answer tonight, why they should buy from you. Well, it starts with what they want most. That's where the answer should come from. So hopefully that was helpful.
Yeah, it's very true. So stop thinking about yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Think about your prospects and your clients. So guys, look, I thank you. I will have one last throw to my beautiful daughter, Brooke. Any questions there, Brooke? Does anyone have any questions they'd like to ask?
There's one from Alex there. Do you want to start with his, mate? He says, is there an easy formula, Mal, to follow to ensure you have a good profit margin? I would ask Alex, what's your product before Mal answers, but it's a good question.
Alex might be a physiotherapist in New Zealand. Is that Alex? In which case, if that's the case, Alex has repetition. So most guys my age have got crook knees and crook backs. My wife is at a chiropractor tonight, and then we're going out to dinner. She's picking me up after the call. So, you know, Alex, you have repetition. But the bottom line is you must be able to charge the most in your category. That's what I'm doing in my industries. So we must have some justification for that, and that's going to be your message. And we've discussed that before, Alex, and I know you've got a great guarantee, as I recall, and it should make price to a certain extent irrelevant. It also comes from niche. So if I've got this right, I think you are that, Alex. My recollection some 5 or so years ago, maybe more, was most of your money comes from back, followed by shoulder. Now, I would be the expert in one of those niches. I'd have the most outrageous guarantee. There was a face cream product in the Sunday Times on the weekend that offered 150% guarantee. Now, I rang up my wife to order it because it's called research. You know, not only do I get to look cute, but hopefully, and that must be really good cream to do that. But I wanted to see everything. I wanted to understand what they were doing. My wife went to order, sold out. Sold out.
Wow.
You know, 150% guaranteed. That's all you had to do. Sure, they'll get some refunds, and sure, but that's okay because, you know, we understand that. Stand by your product. But an outrageous guarantee of 150%, my wife couldn't even order it. It wouldn't allow her order to go through, and the answer was out of stock. And this was the next day. So you want to be successful, folks? There's one of the answers for you. And Alex, I think you have some concept of that, where all that's concerned. And I've always advocated, Alex, you should think about the strategic byproduct, which is helping other physios. You're a smart dude. And Ian, of course, helps other people become Ian, if you like. And that's one of the best products there that you might like to avail of. So that's what I'd say to that, Alex. It's a great question. Thank you.
Yeah. And thanks for picking up on that too, Glenn, because I was multitasking, and being a male, I was just proving all these ladies correct that I can only do one thing at once. So, yeah. So, look, ladies, just make sure there's no other questions here. Hey, Glenn, property owners want to sell their property for the maximum selling price, but their price is above current. They're gonna ask you, Glenn. Here we go. So again, hey, Glenn, property owners want to sell their property for the maximum selling price, but their price is above current market. To get the business, do you accept to take on the job with the risk they may not get they might not lower their price to market? There you go. $1 million question for you.
Yeah, that is the $1 million question. I can't give a quick answer, so I'll just say a surface-based principled answer, meaning the big answer is when you become that celebrity agent in your area, and certainly I would say the same thing to Alex, to become that celebrity chiro guy. Right? There's no industry that you can. The fact that Scotty can become the celebrity carpenter, the fact that every second bloody show has a celebrity chef, people are becoming celebrities in the weirdest of businesses. ever. Celebrity pawnbroker shop owners. It's insane. So why can't you become the celebrity chiropractor to the stars? So implementing the street smart system to becoming the famous celebrity is your way of charging the most for your chiropractic services. And similarly, Luke, when a real estate agent becomes the famous, sought after, only logical choice in their category, they get to have 40 odd listings and they sell 30 of them in any given month at a rate of $10,000 per commission check. So there's a $300,000 revenue per month that these guys. That person doesn't worry about that one person who's above market and what they are or aren't going to do. So it truly is a choice of only working with those sellers that are going to sell. But there is a niched small answer that you could give on an individual basis to convince that one seller what to do and what can't to do. But Luke, I'll just say, private message me privately on Facebook, because it's not of interest to the masses on Ian's call here. So private message me, Luke, and I'll get you a better answer. But the biggest answer is, when you're a big fish in your pond, it can be a small pond, but when you're that big fish in your category, you don't worry about those little things, because you say, get out of the way then, there's 40 people behind you who need my services. And that comes as a result of implementing what you guys teach and becoming the celebrity version of what it is you do.
Well said.
Great answer, Glenn. Great answer, mate.
And I would love to add a bit of value to that real estate question if I could.
Certainly.
I just totally support what Glenn has said, and he's right on the money. When you've got a market that's falling, and particularly in Western Australia, which is quite a difficult thing in Perth, you've really got three choices. You either, don't sell the product or the property. Two, you discount it, which unfortunately most will do, and that's as far as it goes. But there's a third solution, and I'd be just interested in what Glenn has to say, but I've shown some people where they've been in mining products and in the mining areas where they've really discounted enormously and been overwhelmed on this to try and even cover their mortgages. And that is to give vendor finance for the difference between the price. In other words, if it's 500,000, the best offer you got is 400, carry the 100,000 on the basis that you might not get it, but you may get it. And it's just a positioning that can happen here. I just also want to share something about what Mal had to say about, because I asked the question, what are the product you're selling? Mal said about, you're selling, what people, what they really most want. And I just think that is such gold, and people have got to hear what he said, and he's a little example. And really it's not about you, but it's about them. But I'm going to suggest something along the same lines. And what you're selling is a dream. And Ian, you sell dreams, Mal sells dreams, Glenn sells dreams, and most successful people, I sell dreams. That's our product. Dreams of a possibility. And I just want to finish tonight, if we can, on best things. And I love the team here that have come together. My best thing is to be amongst such masters, such incredible minds that in a moment's notice can come up with a solution. And I'm just grateful to be on this call. And thank you for enabling us to be here and having me on. And I'd just be interested in best thing from Glenn, then best thing from Mal, and best thing from you, Ian. So, Glenn, what was your best thing from tonight?
Yeah, I would say everything I said. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. You know what? I tell you, what you just said there, man, is very, very true. I'm always on here, never knowing when freaking Mal or when Ian is going to drop that one thing that could be the game changer. Frankly, I thought tonight, I didn't know the audience that was going to be on tonight. I was kind of on here thinking it was more a public seminar, and Mal would have been making an offer. Mal, you let me down by not making an offer. You didn't make a pitch, you SOB, right? You've ripped me off. But what I'm saying is, you never know when there's going to be greatness. So surrounding yourself with the greats, and literally I started with the end in mind, like Mal said, and now I get invited to Gold's Gym to get worked out by Arnold Schwarzenegger. I get to recreate the Predator scene, and I surround myself with the world's greatest, including Sir Richard Branson cutting off my tie, whoever it may be, even Kevin Smith in the podcasting world. I surround myself wherever necessary and by any means necessary at any expense. I go all in order to make sure those 5 people closest to me at any given time are all at least as successful, if not more successful than me. And in doing so, man, I was only broke or whatever it was, I never was broke, but earning 50 grand a year and sort of struggling. It was only 2009, 2010. So it's not like I'm ye olde worldy old school money. I was exactly where every one of you are sitting. Only some, I know 8, 9 years may seem like a long time, but man, it's flown by. And now I get to drink with frickin' my childhood heroes at the bar and exchange stories, war stories with Sylvester Stallone and Schwarzenegger. I introduced one of my friends, a Perth guy called Soa the Hulk Palele, the UFC legend from Perth. I took him with me to Arnold Schwarzenegger's house. The bugger got cast because the producer of The Expendables is there, 1, 2, and 3. The bugger got cast in Expendables 4 because of me. So I find a way to, and I said, dude, I need a sight pass to that bad boy when that happens. So surrounding yourself with the greats who are where you want to be, and this is the case of Mal, this is the case of Ian and Street Smart. I'm always finding a way to be on webinars like this, and wherever possible, to the tune of 7,000 hours listening to my master mentors. Man, something had to rub off, and it certainly did. What these guys talk of as a promise of the promised land, you talk about the dream, Roy, it ain't a dream. I'm a dickhead who grew up in Ipswich, and for some of you guys who know where Ipswich is, nothing special about me, right? Up until the minute I met Mal Emery, the most I'd ever earned was $50,000 a year. And now to the tune of $2 million a year, and I'm not bragging, I'm just saying there's a couple million a year now coming into the bank account as a result of what these guys taught me. We can do it. It ain't a dream and it ain't a promise. It's a reality if you do the work. So there you go.
Sensational.
Yeah.
Best thing, Mal. What's your best thing for tonight?
Yeah, look, you're a master of the right question, Roy. You do it all the time. I've seen you in all sorts of environments put that on the table, and you've done it again. So no surprises there. My favourite thing is, as impromptu as it is, the coming together of the mastermind and the power of a mastermind. It's nice that we're old friends as well, and that's enjoyable. And we're still friends, which is even more important and probably something of a record in the industry we belong to. But I suppose I don't want the folks to miss out on the fact that be part of a mastermind. Nothing is quite as special, and the school is never out for the pro. They are parts of these things, and they continue to be. So that would be, without a shadow of a doubt, my favourite aspect of tonight. Nothing individually, but the mastermind would be my feeling.
Perfect.
Great question.
Perfect. Best thing, Ian, take it away. Best thing.
Yeah, mine's relationships, and that is, in the life we lead, and that is with all of us, all 4 of us. We are consultants, but one of the things I love are the friends and the relationships that we build through sharing the knowledge that we have. Because rather than it being a win-lose, which is what we all generally see too often in the world, in our world, in consulting, it's actually a win-win. I know for a fact the amount of people that Glenn Twiddle has helped have better lives now because he's taught them how to be really effective in real estate. And I know firsthand the people you've helped, Roy, in transforming, because you are a transformer. You transform people's worlds. Mal obviously has had a big impact on, massive impact on both Glenn and I. Obviously, and so as consultants, we get to play just a small part in the ability to help people live a different life to the one that they thought they were destined for. So I guess that's it. Friendship, having you and Glenn not even knowing that I was going to call on you to help in this call, and this has turned out to be such a fantastic call, guys. But at a moment's notice, you're just happy to pitch in and share your knowledge. So that's it. Yeah, thank you, guys. So I guess on that, guys, that 30 minutes has now expanded into 1.5 hours. We have imposed on our friends long enough. This is Street Smart Business Solutions. One last thing again, I put the link into the chat box, guys. Again, the reason why I asked Mel if you'd like to come on here is so that we can raise money for cancer, so we can try and beat this horrible disease that is out there that's affected just about everybody we know. All of you, I'm sure, know someone that's been impacted by cancer. And Mel's going to ride 200 kilometres through rain, hail or shine to do his part to help raise funds in conquering cancer. So, guys, if you could contribute, and again, remember, if you do contribute, Glenn's got this fabulous gift that he's going to share with all of you. Just for if you donate $20, and it is an honour system, he just then shoot him a note, and he will give you access to that fantastic training that I'm guessing I was probably in on that as well, Glenn, with that training, that $2,000 training. I don't know, but it would be a ripper. So, ladies and gentlemen, from all of us to all of you, make sure that you live life on your terms. Don't live it on someone else's. Mal, Glenn, Roy, thank you again so much for your time. Street Smart Business Solutions TV, shining off. See you, gang.
See you guys. Thanks a million.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye.